Our first session is going to be how to stand up straight in a world that sits with Chad Walding and his lovely wife Brenda, who is also a doctor of physical therapy. Chad is a doctor of physical therapy who specializes in treating the spine. He is also the owner of Alchemy Fitness and Flow, a holistic-based gym here in Austin, Texas. And he is the co-founder of The Paleo Secret, a blog that empowers individuals to create positive changes in how they eat, move, think, and live. Let's give him a big round of applause. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, well, thank you all for being here. Such an early time. So, yeah, how to stand up straight in a world that sits. That's what we'll be talking about today. And right now, I think we're going through a fascinating time, right? We have this ability to share information, science, technology. We have a perspective, and we're able to look back and see where we've sort of gone wrong and taken a left turn. And we recognize that very well in terms of the way we've been eating. We kind of see there's a way we've been designed to eat. There's also a way we're sort of designed to move in this natural posture. And because of the things that we're doing in our society, we're suffering because of that. We're being put in very poor positions, and because of that, we're inheriting very poor movement patterns. So just a bit about me and my background. I have a very unique perspective in terms of the broad diversity of people that I've worked with and what I've seen. As a physical therapist, I've worked in treating the spine, specializing in treating back pain, herniated discs, bulging discs, sciatica, seen a lot of pain down the arms, down the legs and whatnot. And I've also worked in the home health setting, so I've seen where function breaks down as we age. Worked with a lot of people with problems with falls, problems to get up and out of a chair, problems with walking. And I'm also a coach and an athlete, so I work with people and teach them how to move, how to squat, how to pick things up and put it over their head. And with all that, I have a very good idea of why people can and can't function and why we're having pain and what's causing a lot of the suffering that we're experiencing physically, and that's what I want to talk about today. So there's a lot of talk about sitting lately. You'll see it a lot in social media. You're hearing sitting is new smoking, it's the new death, it's like all over the place, it's scaring people, and it's good. It's good that we're starting to become more conscious about this because it is a problem. But a big part of that is us just being generally more sedentary in general. In our past, our ancestors were very upright. We hunted, we gathered our food. 100 years ago, we were still farming for the most part. We were very upright. In the past 100 years, everything has changed. 90% of all our activities are done sitting down in that position. And when we sit for chronic long periods of time, it can have a drastic negative effect on our physiological health. So for instance, when we sit, we shut down a lot of neurological input into our legs. This decreases an enzyme lipase, which is responsible for breaking down fat into your bloodstream by 90%. You're then going to have more fat circulating in your blood. That's going to lead to more problems with heart disease, more problems with obesity and diabetes and whatnot. But it doesn't just stop there. You'll see negative changes in your cholesterol profile for people who sit for long periods of time. You'll see changes in testosterone and cortisol, so your hormones get affected, as well as your bone density. So it's not just that it's affecting your blood, it's affecting a whole lot of different areas. And you can't have a conversation about sitting without talking about the impact it has on your posture and the connection that has to your thoughts and your emotions. That whole mind-body connection works both ways. So if we're putting ourselves in these positions, our bodies will start to think negative thoughts that kind of play into this sort of poor puppy dog me posture. But we also have the ability to be aware of this, right? So if we know that we can change that, we can put our bodies back in a better position and create a space for more emotional well-being, so to speak. But if you're playing the game of optimal health and well-being, you know, you don't want to, this has to be part of that equation. You can't be the guy who eats a perfect paleo diet, gets sun, you know, is working on digestion and sleep, but you're not paying attention to this because it's such a key part of the puzzle and an obstacle in achieving optimal health in our current modern day. Now, we live in what I like to call a flexion-based society. So when I say flexion, I mean in a global sense. This is a flexion direction. This is an extension direction, more of an opening. From the moment we're children to the way we work, when we make money sitting down in office chairs, to the way we end up as seniors, everything we do is sort of putting us in this flexion-based position. And what's happening is our body adapts to whatever position we put it in. So, you know, according to whatever stress we give it. If I went out in outer space where there's no gravity, my bones would get weak, my muscles would shrink. If I lift weights, the opposite happens. And it also happens to changes in our musculoskeletal system. So if I stand working, for instance, and I habitually sort of tilt on one side, and that's all I do, and I ever tilt on the other side, it's going to result in a change, and eventually I'll adapt and get a shift. If I'm always working on the mouse and a little elevation on this side, you'll see a little bit of change in your posture, and you'll notice that all the time. We're in this flexion-based society where we're forward, right, and we're getting stuck in this position, and you can see this here, resulting in a lot of pain, for one, but our movement patterns, because we get there, these people tend to pick things up incorrectly. They can't put things up over their head incorrectly. And for instance, this is the end result right here. This man, if you asked him to sit up straight, he couldn't if he wanted to, right? He is completely stuck in that position in many different ways. But we see this start to happen at a very, very early age. So it's causing a lot of pain and a lot of suffering. Oops. What do I do? No! Oh. Wrong button. There we go. Okay. All right, so because we're becoming more aware of the problems, we've had a lot of proposed solutions up to this point. So the first one you always hear about is just sit better. If we just sit better, then everything's fine. And that's a good recommendation, but it's only going to get us so far because sitting is still stagnant, right? And we're still dealing with the fact that we've been living in this flexion-based society. For the most part, most people are molded in that position. So but sitting is foundational. You do want to make sure you keep a neutral spine, hips above the knees. But we need to expand on that. The other recommendation you'll hear is get up for frequent breaks, and that's a good recommendation as well. We should avoid the sedentary process. We should get up as much as possible. But it's not just that we move, it's that we're going to have to move in certain directions and in certain ways, and I'm going to talk about that more in a bit. The other thing that people promote are ergonomics. So you'll hear better chairs, better workstations. This can be very costly, very, very expensive for most people. Most employers aren't ready to put in standing desk. So I still feel that's a limited solution to this big global problem. So we need to think a little more about what exactly we can do to make this work and get people truly to restore their posture. But if we take a closer look, this is sort of what's going on with the spine, right? We're supposed to have this nice S-shaped spine, and many people feel that our ancestors had an even more upright, straight spine. But we go from this nice neutral posture, and as we live in this flexion-based society, moving more and more to that conformed area, we start to see our spine become more compromised, right? This mid-back area, we call that the thoracic spine. It gets more and more hunched over, and as that happens, we'll see an internal rotation of our shoulders, which translate forward, and a further protraction of our neck. And what these numbers represent is the relative weight of the head as it translates forward more and more. And that with that weight becomes more strain and more work that these muscles in the back have to do to hold you up. And once you start to lose the game of gravity, you're just going to continue to lose that game, right? It gets harder and harder. So what we want to do is get everything back in the right position. And when it comes to mobility versus stability, we want to really look at what changes are going on in terms of the tissue and our muscles. So some muscles are going to be very tight. So an example, Brenda's sitting here. This is my wife, Brenda. With this sitting, certain muscles are getting very tight, mainly the pectoral muscles in the front region right here. They're getting shortened, so we want to stretch these and open it up. This allows the shoulder to get back, allows the thoracic spine to get back into a neutral position. These muscles back here are becoming very elongated and weak. This is how we get a lot of rotator cuff tears because it's working and on tension for so long. We want to strengthen those up to help stabilize you and put you in a better position. And the same thing will happen in the pelvis. We're going to see some sort of compromise. We'll either see an anterior pelvic tilt for people that sit for long periods of time, or some sort of stability being found with this kind of tilt right here. But this neutral position is lost somehow. And generally what we see are very tight hip flexors and a core that's no longer stabilizing. It's shut off because it's not working anymore. And glutes that are just shut off because we've been sitting on them for so long. We have a global case of like gluteal amnesia because no one's firing their butts anymore, right? So what we want to do today is make this very practical and offer solutions. We don't just want to talk about the problem. We really want to make it practical and give you ideas that you can do while you're in the working environment. It's not just enough to sit down for 8 hours a day, go for a walk, and then go to the gym and do some stretches to help readapt the body. You need to do it while you're in that environment. So that's what we want to focus on. So when you're fixing all this stuff, the first thing you want to focus on, the most important thing, is the thoracic spine. So again, the thoracic spine is this region at the bottom of the neck to the top of the low back. and it's very flexed for the most part. So what we want to do is mobilize those joints and extend it. And what Brenda's showing you here is a simple seated thoracic extension stretch, taking the elbows up as high as you can, and really getting to the end range. It doesn't do very good to go to the mid range. Another thing you want to think about doing is squeezing the stomach as hard as you can so you don't get too much movement in the lumbar spine. You want to force it in the thoracic spine. So people that have a hard time pressing overhead, athletes and coaches, this is a good place to go to first to get that mobility. Okay, once you fix the thoracic spine, the shoulder's in a better position, the neck's in a better position automatically. Another way to do this is with rotation. So you can stand up and just rotate side to side. The thoracic spine loves to be rotated. Every time you rotate to one side or the other, you're extending that side a bit more and getting more mobility back. And then another way is with a foam roll. We highly recommend people have a foam roll in their working environment. So this is an easy thing to do. Just laying down, same thing, hands behind the head, elbows forward, extending back as far as you can, making sure you're squeezing the stomach to get not get too much movement in the lumbar spine. But the nice thing about this is you can really feel what segments of your thoracic spine aren't moving and really go into it and mobilize it. So that is the thoracic spine. Other thing we want to do is, again, stretch out the front part of the shoulder, stretch out the pectoral muscle. This allows that shoulder to get back, allows that normal posture to be found again. Easy way to do that is just laying down in the foam roll in this way, palms up. And for most people, this is going to be extremely difficult position for a lot of people to get in because they're so tight. They won't even be able to put their hands on the ground. They may have to start just to the side. But once you're there, you can hang out for a while, 2 to 4 minutes, and you can also move it. And we like this because it gets such a big global stretch. And you kind of want to apply the 80-20 principle to your mobility and stability exercises. You want to do things that make a big global change, not just small things. You want to be very efficient. There's other ways to do this. With the wall stretch on the side, wall angels, these are all great things. They're moving a lot of moving parts in a very efficient manner. And you can also do a lot of things with lacrosse balls to really loosen up that tissue and those adhesions to get everything back in a better position. So the other thing we want to do is strengthen all the muscles in the back that hold us up, right? Mainly right in here and right in there. So an easy tool that we recommend using is a TheraBand. You can find these on Amazon for 3 different resistances for like $10 or something like that. But these are called star drills. So you can see we're going in a wide range of pattern in straight horizontal abduction, and that's a PNF pattern. But you're really taking the arms to the full range of motion. And if you turn around, you can get a sense that we're contracting all these different muscles at once. So a big bang for your buck. Very simple thing to do while you're in the work environment. Doesn't take up much space. It's not expensive, but it prevents that weak feeling. And it's going to prevent you from getting headaches. It's going to prevent you from injuring your shoulder. Other ways to do that, we love anything horizontal pull. So bent over kettlebell rows, ring rows. You can use TRX bands. These are other easy things that you can do and bring in the office environment. Doesn't take up much space, and it's not expensive. And now we want to fix the forward head, right? So once we've got that thoracic spine in a better position, it gives us better leverage to fix that forward head that we see all the time. So we're experiencing this a lot because we're on the computers, we're texting, we're driving, we're always protruding forward. So it's causing those vertebrae to translate one in front of the other, and they get stuck there. They literally can't move back. So we want to mobilize these back in the opposite direction. So what we're going to show you here is a cervical retraction. You want to make sure you're sitting up nice and right, getting your spine in neutral position. Keep your chin parallel to the ground, and just go back as far as you can. You may hear some crunches. You may hear some things moving around. That's okay. You're breaking through restrictions. You're opening up mobility in those joints, right? Once you have that mobility back, you want to then extend back as far as you can to the end range, and then do a little wiggle. And press at the same time when you wiggle. And you want to make sure you're sitting upright. You don't want to do this with a bad posture because you're going to get some pressure on the back part of your vertebrae. But this opens up the entire cervical region. And after you've done that, you've really given yourself at least the mobility to have an upright spine. Most people do not have that because we've always been moving this way. We're never moving that way, and we're supposed to have that natural mobility. So a cool trick you can do to stabilize yourself in that position, because the game here is mobilize, stabilize, is put a TheraBand behind your head and then protract and retract, and that's going to strengthen up all these muscles to help keep you there in a stable position. So very easy technique, just pressure on, pressure off, going back as far as you can. Okay, quick on time. The hip flexors are going to be very tight. The psoas muscle, the hip flexors are a group of 4 different muscles, the big ones being psoas muscle and the rectus femoris. But 2 things you can do here: squeeze the butt, squeeze the stomach, just go to the end range. You can lean across the side a little bit to help further lengthen that muscle. And we also recommend doing a pressure on, pressure off. So that's not focusing so much on the muscle, that's focusing on the joint. You want to not just focus on muscles, also think about moving joints. But other ways you can do this: wall stretches, this can be done in the chair as well, but it's a must for people who are sitting for long periods of time. And of course, we want to strengthen up the abs and the core. A lot of people think about abs, they think about flexing the abs, but that's not really the function of the core and the abs in general. It's more like a core set that protects everything. So we want to learn how to restabilize that and get it back in a neutral position. This is a very simple plank. She's squeezing her butt, squeezing her stomach, neutral spine, and you can also come up on your hands to get a lot more activation in the shoulders. But very simple thing that you can do in the sitting environment, as well as things like sitting chair tucks, just bringing your knees up to get the core activated. And also, if you can bring kettlebells in the working environment, doing farmer's carries. We want to bring a little bit of the gym into the working environment. So, and then, of course, we got to wake up the booty. A very easy thing to do there is just a bridge, knees bent, lifting up the hips, going up, and then going down. That's something anybody can do. And another thing that you can do, again, bring in the kettlebell in the work environment and just do simple, light load, high rep kettlebell swings for long periods of time. Anytime I'm working with someone and they have back pain, we want to get them to that level where they learn how to bend and contract the muscles. But with the kettlebell, you get a whole lot done at once. You strengthen the core, you strengthen the butt, hamstrings, and everything. So other ideas: womb squat, press-ups, hamstring stretching, take the stairs as much as possible, have meetings while you're walking, learn how to stabilize the midline. When you're at the gym, practice big lifts like deadlifts, the overhead press, any horizontal pull will be very good for your posture. And those are movements that a certain skill level to all those. So if you don't know how to do them, get a coach. You can definitely get hurt. Then we want to put it all together. So what we have here is just an easy set of equipment that you can use in the office environment. Doesn't take up much space. You can purchase all this for under $100 on Amazon. A good rule is move every 30 to 45 minutes for a period of 2 to 4 minutes, going over the actions that we just talked about. So if you're sitting for 200 minutes, if you're a truck driver or something like that, get up for 20 minutes. That's what it takes to prevent that adaptation that we go through in that flexion-based position. Use light loads with higher reps, and use equipment that's practical. So this is an example of what a day could look like, right? You come in at 8 o'clock, you're moving every 45 minutes, you have a very set program that you're going on, but 8:45 you come in, you do your hip flexor stretches, you do your bridges, and you mix it in a routine. 9:30 comes around, thoracic extension, and you do the star drill. You're mobilizing and stabilizing. 10:15, you go for a very simple walk. 11 o'clock, you come back, do a pec stretch, easy kettlebells for 1 minute. 1 o'clock, you come back from eating. You do some belly breathing to calm down. I just want to mention that breathing and posture go hand in hand as well. So learning how to breathe through your diaphragm, learning how to release tension in your shoulders, it's going to help you tremendously. We have cervical retractions with the band, and then walking again, planks, kettlebells, knee tucks. So very simple, very practical thing that anybody can do in their working environment. And I feel it's a much more, it's a better solution than ergonomics in terms of keeping us up in a better position and focusing on sitting. I really want more people to become aware of this as a possible option and make it more accepted to do these things in the work environment. So I've got 1 minute left. I was moving through it fast, so good. And that is it. So we're good. That's how you stand up straight in a world that sits. So any questions?
I know, it's sort of well-known conventional wisdom that you need to warm up before you stretch. I know in some of these mobility range of motion type deals, how important is it to do walk for a minute or do something, or can you just like with the shoulder mobility, thoracic stretch, can you just do that and not
Yeah,
really cause any damage?
These are such light load that to warm up your tissue, it's not like you're getting ready for like a 1RM back squat or deadlift. Those type of things, you're going to have to get the tissue warmed up a little bit. These are things you can just go right into it. You don't have to walk. You don't have to do anything. It really is what you would want to do in a warm up in the gym anyway, a lot of these movements. So.
Any recommendations for if you already have shoulder pain and like, you know, so obviously we're already, a lot of us are like this, but some are.
Yeah. So the definite ones would be, because it's hard to say without knowing exactly what's going on, but things that you can be pretty sure that you need are things like that thoracic extension, because it automatically puts your scapula sitting on a better position with your rib cage, and external rotation, right? So that resisted external rotation that we were talking about. Yeah, so you can just hold that, elbows next to your side, and just go out and get a really good bilateral external rotation with the shoulder. But that other thing that we were showing you works as well, so long as you're pain-free. You might want to watch this area up here. Some people may have issues, but you're definitely safe with this. Doesn't matter what shoulder thing you have going on, that's a safe thing to do. So.
Anybody else?
I just answered them all.
Actually, can you provide access to your PowerPoint presentation?
Yeah. Here's my email address. You can email me. If you guys want this, I'll give you the whole PowerPoint. Just email me, and I'll go ahead and get it to you. Yeah, no problem. And if you have any questions later on about the PowerPoint or anything, just let me know. Yes, we actually did come up with a program. I should explain that. So we go in much more detail with videos and lay out different programs for people to do while they're sitting, where it is laid out like what we're talking about. You can keep it up on your desktop and just click on it, and you see me go through a routine with you. And then there's other areas where you can see more detailed instructions on what you're looking for each routine. And we're just going to keep expanding on that because there's a lot of possibilities and a lot of ideas that we have with apps and just office wellness type things to bring in positive changes in that area. So, but it's something I'm passionate about because I've seen so many people have problems. So, sittingsolutions.com, and you can also find us on Facebook. Sittingsolution.com. Yeah, it's evolving. Yeah. So, any other questions? Schools? Yeah, we haven't thought about it. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. We haven't thought about it. This is sort of we're in the process of stepping out of the conventional physical therapy realm and doing more of what we want to do, but this is something that like everybody should know. Like it's a global situation when you really think about it, and it's one of those things that's hard to see because everyone's got such bad posture and everyone's sitting. It's almost like you don't know that your food is bad until you step away and you start doing something different. But yeah, the children should change everything as well. They should have more frequent breaks. They should probably be standing a lot more than they're sitting because we're just simply not doing that. And another thing, when I recommend this to people, they're like, I can't stop working every 30 to 45 minutes for a period of 2 to 4 minutes. But when people try it, what they notice is they think much more clearly on what they're working on. They get way more creative because they have a time to step away and kind of think about what's going on and become more aware. And most of their solutions to their problems are found when they're stepping away, when they're walking, when they're feeling, you know?
One thing about her comment, she was talking about these exercises in a school setting, or like, you know, we've thought about it in office settings, obviously, but school setting. A lot of things that we tell our patients is we talk about spinal hygiene, just like you brush your teeth, you get up, like with the kids, you brush your teeth, you comb your hair. Really, the exercises that we're talking about with the spinal exercises, the retraction, the extension, and the thoracic extension should be something that you think about doing multiple times a day. Just as important as brushing your teeth, combing your hair.
Yeah.
And starting at a young age, if you can prevent this, you know, the video games and all this stuff, that just sets them up for chronic pain, especially now when there's so many of them that are just hunched over. They've got the backpacks. That's an extra load, brings their head even more forward. So I think that's a wonderful idea to bring this into schools. And then as you guys get educated on how to do this and teaching your children, then you can avoid the chronic pain, because the majority of the spine pain we see in clinics is not traumatic. It's a sustained posture or repetitive movement injury. So it's generally a posture issue. So we can do lots of great exercises, but you've got to fix that. There's nothing we can do if you sit there for 8 hours and then you expect, hey, my neck hurts.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't start doing exercises to combat that sustained position, there's no way in really eradicating the pain long term.
Yeah. Like, so we've worked in the clinic for a long time, and there's only so much we can do in the clinic to really make a difference. It's creating lifestyle changes and making people more aware. And like I said, once you start doing it, you do become more aware. For instance, with that chin retraction, when we're driving, like, you'll notice how inefficient we are with our movements and how much we protrude all the time. And once you start retracting back a lot more, you get the sense like, that it's gone, that tension's gone that I always had before. And once you notice something, you can't unnotice it, right? It's just kind of the way it goes. So, game over. Thank you, guys.